Hello, my fellow Dungeon Masters and Apprentices. I am DM Dango, and today I'm going to be reviewing A Town of Our Own. Town of Our Own was created by Nicholas Martignago, and apologies here if I butchered your name. My tongue basically has a mind of its own, and besides that, I'm American. We don't do languages very well. It's available in the DM's Guild for $4.99. The framework is a system that allows your players the freedom to create, manage, build, and reap the rewards from a town. Included is where to start, how the advancement works, and how to include it into your existing settings. The players assume the roles of lords of a manor, where they collect the taxes from the town on a weekly rate that's determined mostly by the improvements that they've made to the town, along with a specialization that they can choose later. Luckily, working out the amount that you need for this advancement is pretty easy because of the included spreadsheet. Pop the spreadsheet into a program of your choice, Excel, and then just make sure you checked all the boxes correctly, and you'll pop out and see the resulting gold income. The town itself is split out into 4 tiers, and you advance at the various tiers as you go along. Each player has access, when they are at a specific tier, a specific set of buildings, improvements, and specializations. To gain these items for each tier, players spend gold or perform particular actions. Such as, for instance, in the case of an action that they need to perform, is clearing out of mines is a very good one for them to do. To move from one tier to the next, at the very early levels, it's just to create a couple of buildings and have a certain set of them. And the later ones, you need to manage the threats that incur, or engage with the various opportunities, or have a level population or a combination thereof. Certain buildings are locked behind various tiers, as you would expect. For instance, if your town is only tier 1, it will be only able to build both the alchemist and the foundry buildings, and if your town is not up to tier 3 or tier 4, you won't be able to build the keep, and that's what everyone wants, right? That's what all players want, is their own keep. As a reward for building up the town, not only do the players receive gold, but occasionally certain buildings, improvements, or specializations grant certain boons in the form of things like a militia. It's a series of 10 warriors that you can take out and do things with when you're venturing, or in the case of some other ones, you can actually get uncommon magical items. Or in the case of, say, if you have a smith, you can craft unique and interesting materials. Things like dragon hide or craft with adamantium. The way you go about moving from one tier to another is a pretty standard affair for anyone who's played anything like Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, or pretty much any town simulator. For the first tier, reaching a certain level of buildings allows you to advance the next. To advance to the subsequent tiers, you need to manage threats. You need to deal with, for instance, you could be dealing with cultists or bandit raids or anything in between, or even perhaps your DM would come up with something on their own. Your adventurers have to successfully deal with these threats before the town can advance any further. Beyond the town building aspect as well, the framework also provides opportunities to players, such as potential alliances, people like the Lord's Alliance, the Harpers, or even if your players are in an evil campaign, something like the Zentarum. In addition to that, you have interesting encounters like Wandering Paladins or a group of Asylum Seekers, and they have their interesting little flavors. Overall, it should be more than enough to accommodate most parties from about 1 to 14, more or less, as well as provide enough content to keep players entertained while not adventuring. A lot of the tiers are actually gated around this level of content, but as all DMs do, you can choose to use or not use it. But the assumptions are good. There's enough there in the progression system to allow a fair amount of flexibility anyways, along with a good amount of time for the adventure hooks and anything else that a DM may need in order to build this town and provide nothing. However, one area where the framework tends to be lacking, at least in my opinion, is that any time a special NPC is mentioned, there's very little information about them. Things like backstories or descriptions would be very helpful, even just like bog standard ones for, say, you have a blacksmith, an alchemist, and a town leader. These three roles, maybe a quick summary of something around that would be a very good thing. Add extra depth to it. It would also help a lot of those DMs who struggle creating unique characters if a fuller template was provided. It would make it easier to pick up the framework and run with it without excess prep work on the DMs out of things. It's a really, this module, I like the concepts behind it, and it is a really useful addition for players, for DMs who have players who really want to do this type of content, this kind of town building content, but don't really get the kind of how to build them balanced and how to build the systems behind it to make it fun and interesting. The thing that I worry about for the DMs who are very system heavy, but that lack the skills on the other side, the coin, the RP side, I think they'll struggle a little bit. For what's included though, there's about 25 pages and the aforementioned spreadsheet. Prep time is mostly going to consist of defining the characters within the town and making sure that you've got enough personality along with those characters to make the town feel alive, which is the part of the big draw of games like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley, is meeting the characters and understanding their quirks and the way they work. So for me, in terms of how much longer I would take in order to get this ready to go into a game, probably a couple of hours, I would say, to build the characters and to get them ready. One of the big questions I have with reviews and going forward is, am I going to use this framework in my campaign? Am I going to use this thing in my campaign? At the moment, my players aren't interested in this kind of thing, and besides that, they're heading into Chult. And as a result of that, any town that basically isn't surrounded by walls and has constant guards shooting everything that comes near it, they're going to go wiped out to dinosaurs, undead, or undead dinosaurs, who knows which. Maybe when they get back to somewhere more civilized, I might be able to try it out. So, to wrap up, A Town of Our Own is a well put together framework, and it does show. It's very, very well balanced. The time and thought that's gone into that is clearly evident. It gives you enough to get started, and the tools needed to implement it. The only failings come down when you look at the individual characters that are described. There's a name, but not much else. But that doesn't give it the black eye. So, in terms of my overall score, so for that reason, and combined with its $4.99 price point, I give it 4 Beholder Eye Stalks out of 5. If you like this video and want to see more of my content, remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell your friends, summon the Archfiend if you got time, and comment down below. Thank you. This has been DM Dango.